My university professor asked me to stay after class to talk about my boyfriend, whom I never mentioned to him. When the classroom was already empty, my professor locked the door and stood between me and the exit. He said we needed to talk about my boyfriend, the one who was supposedly ruining my performance. A knot formed in my stomach. I had never mentioned a boyfriend to anyone at the university because I did not have one. I had been at college for 3 months, far from my hometown and from a mother who called every night to ask about my grades and about men. She repeated that she did not trust teachers who thought they were saviors. My strategy was simple: study, show up, and stay invisible. He broke that plan when he started asking me to stay after class to talk about how I was adapting. One afternoon, he arrived early to an empty classroom and saw a video call open on my laptop. My mother was scolding me for not turning on the camera in my dorm room. When I hung up, he said he understood what it was like to grow up with controlling adults and told me the university could be my safe place. From then on, I started going to his office hours, convinced he only wanted to help me keep my scholarship. That day, he had rejected my essay as an example. He praised me in front of everyone and joked that he hoped there was no clingy boyfriend draining my energy because he had already seen many brilliant students sink because of jealous men. The class laughed and I did too, although I felt several eyes fixed on me. I thought it would stay as an awkward joke. When the classroom was quiet, he took out his phone, placed it face down on the desk, and said he had been getting messages for days. He claimed someone who said he was my partner had written to him. That person, according to him, complained that I spent too much time at the university and with a certain professor and asked him to lower my grade so I would understand my priorities. He insisted the sender was my ex from high school. The only true thing was that this ex barely existed in my life anymore. But my professor started listing details: my mother's fear of me living alone, my nights in the library, the time I almost lost my scholarship for arriving late to an exam. Those were things I had only confessed to him. I realized the messages were not coming from any real boyfriend, but from someone who using my story to invent one and place himself as my protector. I asked to see them. He said there was no need, that I should trust him. He recommended that I cut all contact with my ex, change my phone number, and put his phone as my emergency contact instead of my mother's. He added that it was better not to talk about that conversation with anyone. Then his phone vibrated. On the notification, I managed to read the start of an email from my mother sent to the institutional address only he and I knew. My mother was asking why I was not answering her calls and saying she was worried about how that professor liked to talk about intimate topics with his female students. She did not mention any boyfriend. She wrote his full name. He flipped the phone over abruptly and changed the subject, saying we will talk again another day. I nodded, packed my things, and went straight to the coordinator's office, my heart pounding in my ears. I showed the coordinator the email and repeated the conversation. I asked for everything to be put in writing. That night, I also wrote to my ex. He replied confused, saying he had never talked to any of my teachers. I do not know what the university will do or what story my professor would tell to defend himself. What I do know is that I changed groups, canceled private office hours, and chose to put up with my mother's controlling calls rather than let a professor invent a boyfriend just to take control of my life.